In the heart of New Orleans, where the air is thick with the scent of magnolias and the whispers of the past linger in every shadow, there stands a mansion. Its wrought iron balconies twist like the tendrils of a nightmare, and its walls seem to hold secrets too terrible to speak aloud. This is the LaLaurie Mansion, a place where beauty hides unspeakable evil. And at the center of it all was a woman, elegant, wealthy, and utterly monstrous. Her name was Madame Delphine LaLaurie. To the high society of 1830s New Orleans, Madame LaLaurie was the epitome of grace and refinement. She hosted lavish parties, wore the finest gowns, and charmed the city's elite with her wit and beauty. But behind closed doors, in the hidden corners of her opulent home, something far darker was unfolding. It all began with a fire. One night in April 1834, flames erupted from the LaLaurie Mansion, sending neighbors and servants scrambling to put out the blaze. As the smoke cleared, rescuers made their way to the attic, a place no one had ever been allowed to enter. What they found there would haunt them forever. Chained to the walls were emaciated, mutilated bodies, slaves who had been subjected to unspeakable torture. Some had been experimented on, their limbs broken and reset in grotesque angles. Others bore scars from whips and knives, their eyes hollow with despair. One woman, it was said, had been stretched on a rack until her bones snapped. Another had been force-fed, her mouth pried open with a metal contraption. The attic was a chamber of horrors, and Madame LaLaurie was its architect. But how could such evil exist behind the facade of a genteel Southern belle? And what drove her to commit such atrocities? As the story unraveled, whispers of Madame LaLaurie's cruelty began to surface. Neighbors recalled hearing screams in the night, dismissed as the wails of restless spirits. Servants spoke of her temper, of punishments that went far beyond the norm. Yet no one dared to confront her. She was too powerful, too connected. When the truth finally came to light, the city erupted in outrage. An angry mob descended on the mansion, but Madame LaLaurie was nowhere to be found. Some say she fled to Paris, living out her days in luxury, never facing justice for her crimes. Others believe her spirit still lingers in the mansion, forever tormented by the ghosts of her victims. To this day, the LaLaurie Mansion stands as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind a beautiful facade. It is a place where the past refuses to stay buried, and where the name Madame LaLaurie still sends a shiver down the spine of anyone who hears it. So the next time you walk the streets of New Orleans, take a moment to glance at that grand, foreboding house on Royal Street. Listen closely, and you might just hear the echoes of the screams that once filled its halls. For in the shadows of the LaLaurie Mansion, the line between beauty and horror is razor thin, and the story of Madame LaLaurie is one you'll never forget.